My man, Julian, so happy to have you on the podcast, man. This has been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for months, if not years.
Yeah, man, it's been a while, but I'm glad we finally made the time to be here and sit down and have a chat, man.
We have. Man, you are an extraordinary entrepreneur. I just want to say that I learned from you. I want you to know that. And
I learned from you too, man.
I appreciate that. But I want to make sure that today we can just spend some time just really inspiring people across the globe on building their entrepreneurial spirit, finding a way to survive through all the failure and the pain that comes with entrepreneurism. So with that, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your story of how you got to Jacked Vegans to where it is today.
Dude, it's like a series of really small coincidence that had to happen in my life for this to be able to be what it is now. When I think about it, it's a little bit crazy, all the little things that had to happen, right? So let's start with one. I wasn't vegan. I was like 3.5 years ago, I had no idea what veganism was. Like, you told me vegan, I was like, those are some people that eat lettuce, whatever. But, I was into dating, right? So I met my current girlfriend. We'd been in a relationship for 3 years. I met her at the gym. I've always had a passion for fitness. And she's like a hardcore vegan, man. She's been vegan for 8-9 years, I think. And when we started dating, she obviously started telling me about it. Like, when you meet a vegan, it's like, it's for sure going to come out at some point. So she started telling me about it. We dated for 1 year. And every time we had the conversation, she always asked me to try it. Every time we had the conversation, she tried to sell me on the health aspect. I was like, I mean, I'm not convinced. Like, whatever, I can be healthy without like eating. I can eat meat, eat animal products, and be healthy. Like,
yeah, because you were already jacked. I mean, I've seen some of those photos. You already. I mean, you've been weightlifting. I was
already healthy. I was already in great shape. So I was like, this is not going to convince me. Like, I'm not going to do it because of that. Then every time she brought up the ethical aspect, like the animals, the environment, that really hit home for me because I've been an animal lover for my whole life. I've always cared about the planet. I've donated money to like shelters and animal causes for my whole life. And when she brought that topic, I was like, well, I got really nothing to tell you, no rebuttal for that. You're absolutely right. And when I think about that, I am a hypocrite, right? Because all the animals get tortured or whatever, and I'm eating them. So after a year of those conversations, at some point we were even going to break up, and she was like, "You got to go vegan." Or I was like, "I'm not going to."
Oh wow! So she said, either the animals go or I go.
She gave me like an ultimatum. I was like, "Do what you got to do. I'm not going to do it." Because I don't feel that that's the way to get someone to do it, right? But a couple of months later, I was like, you know what? I feel good right now. I want to give it a try. And I gave it a try. And the try became 2 years. 2 years, man. I started in December 2019. The 2-week try is now a 2-year try. And it's going to be a lifetime try now.
Now, what were you during this time when you met your girlfriend? What was your business model? What were you doing then at that time?
I was doing the same thing. I was doing online fitness coaching.
Okay, so you're doing online fitness coaching, but not with a vegan.
Not the vegan niche. Just
got it.
Everyone. And before that, I had an online job. I worked for a company. I also owned a gym at some point in my life. So I've done a bunch of things, man. I've done so many things in my life to make money.
Yeah, you're still young. You've got time to do a bunch more. So 2 years ago, after an ultimatum from your girlfriend, you said, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to go vegan.
But I want to make it clear. It wasn't the ultimatum, man. It was 2 months later.
No, that's what we heard. Wait, we can, you guys rewind it back and listen to what he said. I heard ultimatum.
She gave it to me, but I was like, you know what? You do what you got to do. But I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to be forced into something that I'm not 100% yet. Right.
Yeah.
And a couple months after that happened, I decided to give it a try.
Got it. So then how did you make the transition from just online fitness coach to this niche of vegan coaching?
Dude, I was very, very nervous at the beginning because every time you go into a niche, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be missing out on everyone else because if someone's not vegan, they're not going to want to work with me. blah blah blah. I had all these fears that were happening in my head, and I was doing good with fitness coaching. I wasn't doing bad. I had a really good business, and I just did it, man. I just changed my branding in social media. I started calling myself a plant-based fitness coach. Then a couple months later, I was like, okay, I'm a vegan. I didn't say vegan since the beginning. Plant-based is like you can also eat a couple animal products every now and then. I just didn't want to do it like 100% from the start. A couple months later, I branded myself as a vegan coach, and just the business took off. It was like the best decision, business-wise and life-wise too, man.
Now, no. So, someone that comes to you, are they typically a complete carnivore, or are they somewhere in the middle? Or are they? I mean, what does your typical client look like?
They should have an interest in veganism for sure. They want to either transition. They've been trying it for a couple of years. They haven't really done it properly, so they want help to fully transition. And most people are like that. Most of our clients, and we also get a percentage of clients that are already like hardcore vegans. They just want to get in shape.
Mm, got it. So so tell me, how does your program work? I mean, what do if I were a new client, what would that look like for me? What type of things would you have me doing?
Well, we first get a really good understanding of where you're at now and where you want to go, your goals, right? And then once we got an understanding, we can create a plan based on your needs. I don't know, like we can create like length, type of training, what type of nutrition plan you're going to be following. So basically, we tailor it to every single client. So it all depends on the person's individual goals.
Got it. Got it. So, so it's nutrition planning and fitness planning, and then of course the community that you've created.
It's community, and one of the biggest things is accountability and mindset. We put a lot of emphasis in mindset, and I think the biggest breakthroughs that our clients have are mindset. Not, I mean, they of course they get in shape and they love that, but when you think about it, if you get an adult human being who's not happy with their current health and fitness, who has habits that are preventing that person from getting to where they want to go, that's all that happens because something in their mindset is not aligned with the person they want to be. They have behaviors that are not aligned with that. So when you change the way they think every single day and the way they make decisions, then the body will just follow. It's going to be easy to do it because the mindset has changed. So we place a lot of emphasis in mindset coaching in Jack Vegans.
I hope you guys heard that. We talk about that a lot on the podcast of the training your mind and changing your financial behaviors to get what you want out of life from a finance aspect. And what Julian said is right. When adult human beings are not happy with their current state, whether it be their fitness, whether it be their health, whether it be their finances, or even relationships, a lot of those changes have to take place in between your two ears. It's that gray matter in between your two ears. It's the conversations you have with yourself. It's how you think about things, how you plan your day, what sort of self-care are you tapping into? And when you're able to make those changes, everything else follows from finance to fitness to health, relationships, you name it. But it's going to start with those internal conversations.
100%, man.
Julian, as a successful, and I'm going to call you successful because I believe you are, as a successful entrepreneur, what are some of the things that you do to keep your mindset in check so that you can go out there every day and be with your clients, lead your team, et cetera? What do you do?
First is since I've been in fitness for my whole life, I understand that most things work in cycles, right? For example, when you're on a fat loss diet, you expect to go from point A to point B in a straight line, but that's not reality. You go from point A to point B and it looks like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Like you lose weight, then you gain it back. Like then you have a spike in weight, then you lose weight, then you spike, and that just happens. But when you take like a high level view of that, you can see the trend, and the trend is going down.
Mm.
So I think that analogy applies to many things, right? Business, right? You can have days where you feel like on top of the fucking world, and you can have days where you feel like, oh shit, like not much is working. But just thinking about the cycles and how things happen in life, you realize that those days are just part of the journey. Just keep going.
Indeed.
That's the biggest thing for me, man.
I agree. You got to look at the bigger picture. You got to be able to pull back. So
well, if you look at the stock market, it's the same, right? It's like it's not straight line up and down. It has ups and downs, ups and downs, up and downs. And then we just take a step back and look at it from like high level view. It's like you can see the trend, and the trend's what matters.
Massive up and downs, massive up and downs. For those of you who want to have some fun, go take a look at some of your favorite unicorn stocks, be it Amazon, Netflix, Apple, Google, and just look at even Tesla. Look at some of the fits and starts that they went through. I mean, there were periods there. I remember times where I had clients that were down 50%, 60% on Amazon or Tesla or even Apple stock for a short period in time. And provided that those companies are able to thrive and manage their way out of whatever that predicament may be, whether that predicament is, for an Amazon's example, a very, very bad phone rollout. Most people don't remember the Amazon phone, but there was an Amazon phone idea at one point, and
Yeah,
Apple just
I remember.
Apple just devoured that. Or Netflix. At one point, Netflix said, "Hey, we're going to split the company in two." Rich Hastings, the CEO, said, "We're going to split the company in two." He said, "These DVD things, it's dying. We're going to go straight to online." And everyone said, "You're an idiot. Everyone watches DVDs." And he was like, "Oh, I'm not an idiot, but okay, fine. You guys don't believe." And the stock just plummeted because of it. Apple went through some maturation, if you will, when their CEO passed away, and everything was handed over to Tim Cook. And that was a period where Apple had to kind of find its footing again. So all of these companies, these great companies, these household names, brands that we know, at some point in time, they also slipped and stumbled a little bit. But again, having a great team, great leadership, of knowing how to look at the big picture, like you said, and knowing that those ups and downs are going to happen. But if you're generally headed in the direction of your goals, of your dreams, then you just got to keep going. So I
Yeah,
absolutely.
man. And I think also something that's really play a big part in my life and in my journey is this. It's belief, right? And you can call it faith, you can call it belief, you can call it, because I mean, the more I go into my journey, the more spiritual I become,
Mm,
and the more I just have like a belief and a trust that things will work out. So if I'm in a place right now where maybe things are not exactly like the way I want them to be, I just tell myself this is just part of the journey, and in the end, it's just going to work out for me because everything works out all the time for me, right? And that mindset, I just allows me to stay positive and to not fall into negative. Like, here's the time, because I just tell myself it's just working out for me. Like, it's just part of the process. So that's played a huge role in my journey as well, man.
hey, I love it. I love it. So let's talk about let's go way back in history. Being someone now that is seeing some financial success, some business success, and in a place where technically you can have almost anything you want at this point. So I'm curious to go back to when you were a child. I want to know, what was your first memory of money, or your first interaction with money that you can recall?
I don't really have a first memory with money, man. I just know that the way I was raised with my family, like money was always an issue, right? My parents, it's not like they don't have money because they live a good life, but money has been always a thing, a problem. And it was a problem in our household. And it still is for them, kind of like they need help, they're figuring it out. So I grew up with that mindset. So I always had a big money block in my mind. I thought making money was really difficult. And whenever you have that block and you think something's going to be really difficult to accomplish, or you don't believe that you can actually make more than X amount of money, then it's not going to happen because you don't believe it. You think it's impossible. So growing up with that mindset, I think preventing me from getting to where I now. Well, I don't want to say prevent because it's all part of the journey. So whatever. I mean, that's the way I grew up, and obviously, the more I got exposed to mentors, to the world, to business, I just started shouting those beliefs,
Mm.
and I started getting new beliefs, and I started believing that more things are possible. That making money is just infinite, man. You can make as much as you want. So, and once those beliefs started, you actually believe it, and you wake up every day believing that, then just like shit start happening. Like the universe just makes it happen. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, you were explaining it the way I understand it as well. I agree with you 100%. Excuse me. I also came from a place of lack. My family didn't have a lot of money. We struggled, and food stamps, the whole nine. Um, and it did take a while, like you said, for even for me to shed those old beliefs of the lack of money or feeling like there was a limit to what was possible.
What's the
Um,
thing that helped you get rid of those beliefs?
I would say it would go back to what you said. It was mentorship and reading a few books. One of the books that really left a lasting impression on me that I read at an early age was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
And there's an assignment they give you in the book where they tell you to write down your chief aim or your goal that you want to achieve in a year. And I remember it was almost 15, 16 years ago. It was the first time I wrote myself one of those letters. And I had seen a little bit of financial success. I mean, not I mean, my first year as an advisor, I think I made like $60,000, which at the point was a lot of money. It was 3 times more money I'd made the previous year. So it was like, "Whoa, this is good." And my income was increasing slowly, but I was kinda getting into a rut and I wasn't seeing the what was possible, as I knew other advisors that had, millions of dollars under management and were making tens of thousands of dollars a month. And here I was still chipping away at 7, 8 grand a month, which again was still good money for me at the time, but I still had that limitational beliefs. And I remember reading that book and sitting down and writing myself a letter. And then I also participated in a vision board type of ceremony where we cut out magazines and put pictures of things that you want onto a poster board. I that part at the time to me felt kind of hokey, so I didn't really put a lot of emphasis into it. But I did take the time to write that letter. And, I didn't read the letter as often as I should, but every now and then I come across it and look at it. But what was, outstanding to me is that a couple of years later, I uncovered the letter, and I was like, "Holy shit, I did all these things."
Yeah, man.
And then at that moment, I was like, "Okay, writing a letter every year." I mean, just actually, this week, I was sitting down because what I've been doing lately is I'll write the letter at the end of the year, and then I'll record myself reading it and then just put it in my phone and, like, when I go on a walk with a dog, whatever, I'll just play it and let it just play in my head, and it's funny, when you do that a few times, it starts playing in your head in the weirdest times, like, I'll be washing the dishes, and all of a sudden, my mantras just start coming up in my brain, or, sometimes I'll be in a client meeting, and all of a sudden, I hear those mantras, and I'm like, "Okay, these are my moments."
That's great, man.
But yeah, that was probably the one of the defining moments for me. Can you pinpoint any of your defining moments?
Definitely, man. Yeah, I think the two that I got, yeah, two people, man, were highly, very, very influential in my life. One was Eileen, my girlfriend Eileen, right?
Of
If
course,
it
yeah,
wasn't for
we have
her,
we have to
if
put
it
her at
was,
number 1. She's number 1.
yeah, if it wasn't for her, like Jack Vegans wouldn't exist, right? Because I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have. I mean, I don't know what would have happened, but I don't think I would have ever become exposed to veganism because it wasn't like not even remotely close to me at that point. So her and a mentor, man, a mentor, Nick Nicholas Elliott, that's his name, and he's a sales genius. But he really, when I look at the mentorship I did with him, the biggest thing is just belief, man. Like he taught me to believe in myself and believe that I could do whatever I want. And when you believe in yourself and you believe you can do whatever you want, you can fucking do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. That's truth.
Yeah.
That's
So I
truth.
think those are the two. Yeah, the two people, the two most influential people in my life.
I love it. I love it. I do have to definitely concur with you on the girlfriend aspect. My current wife, so that's the next stage, by the way. My wife, who at the time was we were already married. We were married, when I was in between, when I had lost my job and had not yet started the money script. And I still remember like it was yesterday when I wasn't sure of myself. That belief wasn't there. I remember when she just asked me, "What are you afraid of?" And she'd probably asked me that question a dozen times, but that day I was like, I can't think of what I'm actually afraid of. And in that moment, I was like, well, since there's nothing to be afraid of, let me just go do something. And I made one phone call. And from that phone call, like you said, a bunch of little small things, that phone call, and then the next step and next step. That is why this podcast is here today. That is why Money Script Wealth Management exists today. It was, I can pinpoint it back to that one day when she just said, quit being a punk. I was like, yeah, I'm being a punk. All right, maybe I
It's
should.
funny, man, because you mentioned you got fired from your job, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for me, the same fucking exact thing happened, dude. Like I was working in a company. I was making like good money. I was like 60 grand a year. Man, for me, that was a lot of money at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So much more right now. Like, just seems like what?
Yeah, I know, right? Same here. Same here. I'm like, I was thinking, what? Oh,
Yeah, but for me, that was like really good money. And I wanted to do the online fitness for a very long time, but I just didn't do it because I had that paycheck. I just wasn't fully into it. Right. I was, I started something and then the 5 grand came and I was like, oh, whatever, I'm comfortable. I can live a really good life here in Mexico with that money. But then I think it was January 2019, I had some issues with my boss at the point. Like I wasn't happy with the job and I got fired and I deserved to be fired. Like I wasn't performing. And then I was like, same man, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? I'm never going to be able to make this amount of money on my own. Like I had no belief in myself. I thought about going into like real estate selling. I worked with a dating coach. I was going to become like a dating coach. And then I wanted to point out another moment that I just remembered is I was in a dating seminar in Miami and I was having a chat with a friend of mine. And I was telling him, like, hey, I think I'm going to do the real estate thing. I was like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you're like the fitness guy everywhere you go. Like, you're no fucking real estate salesman. So just do the fitness thing for 3 months, like dive fully into it. And then if it doesn't work out in 3 months, just do it in real estate. Like whatever, you can do whatever you want, but just like give it your all for 3 months. And in 3 months, like I was already making 5 grand. And I was like, okay, this is my thing. But another thing I want to add to that is I have this tattoo. It's a burning ship. And you probably know this story.
I do.
You've read Think and Grow Rich. So for me, I was really scared to burn my ship, which was my job. Like I didn't have the courage to do it. But it was done for me by the universe, by whatever you want to call it, it happened. Thank God it fucking happened, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have the company that I have now.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for that moment, for being fired, man, every single day. It was the best thing that happened.
I cried when I got fired, and I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me.
Yeah, me too.
I was at the low of all lows. I had bills that needed to be paid. I had a kid. I was like, how am I going to figure all this stuff out? And it took 9 months. It was 9 months of self-pity and just spending all of my money. And then all of a sudden, just that one day, she was like, what are you afraid of? I was like, what am I afraid of? And yeah. So, I feel you. I feel you 100%. So Julian, tell us, Jack Vegans, I know they're doing amazing things all across the globe. What is going on right now? What should people be in tune for or look for from Jack Vegans?
So a couple of things that I have going for next year. One is obviously keep growing the company as it is, keep getting better. I've realized that right now I don't want to add more. I want to optimize, because we're already a big team. We already have a bunch of faces of the company. So everything that we're doing, I want to just make it more efficient, better, roll better. There's a lot of little processes that can be improved. So that's my main focus for next year. And I know that once that's optimized, it's going to have a big impact on the bottom line. So that's number one. Number two, I'm developing a software to deliver the service to clients. So it's going to be training, nutrition. It's going to be an application for everything, basically training, nutrition, client management. Then I'm going to offer that to other fitness coaches, because I've used all the solutions and I hate all the solutions and I think they suck. So I'm going to make the best fucking software for fitness coaches out there.
Man after my own heart. I love it.
So that's what I have cooking for next year, man.
Beautiful. And as we transition into, because by the time folks hear this, we are fully into a new year. And, people, by the time you hear this, you've probably already forgot about your New Year's resolutions. But since we have a fitness and nutrition guru here, why don't you give us some quick tips on for those that put, I want to lose weight or whatever it is they put on their New Year's resolution. Why don't you give them a couple of quick tips that they should focus on?
Yeah, of course. Before I do that, I'm going to do like a plug for veganism, because I feel like I have to do it every time.
Yeah. That I was going to ask for the plug, but go ahead, do the plug, do it.
If you're eating animal products, I encourage you, if you're eating anything that comes from an animal, I encourage you to watch 2 documentaries. One's called Dominion and one's called Earthlings. Because if you're going to keep on eating those things, you need to know what needs to happen for the piece of meat, the steak, the chicken, the fish, whatever you're eating, what needs to happen for that to get to your plate. Because I guarantee that once you see what happens, you probably will not feel like eating it anymore. right? So that's number one. And number two, look at what happens to the environment as well, because you're eating animal products, and then question yourself to see if it's worth creating all that harm for 5 minutes of joy of eating a piece of steak. That's number one. So that's all about veganism. Number two, for fitness, it's simple, man. Like, fitness is not complicated for most people. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. But at the end of the day, it's the mindset, right? It's like, we just got to make better decisions every single day. You got to eat a little bit more veggies, a little bit higher protein. You got to move yourself more. You just got to go to the gym. So if I were to give like a recommendation for everyone in the world, increase the amount of veggies you're eating, like by a lot. Walk 5,000 to 10,000 steps every single day. Okay. And hit the gym 3 or 5 times per week. You do that, you're going to be in a way better position in a couple. Like, once you start, you're going to be in a way better position with your health and fitness in a couple months. Like, you focus on those little things. You don't need a drastic change. You don't need to do a 21-day juice fasting. You don't need a cleanse. You don't need a drastic diet. You don't need to fast. You need to change the little things and do it consistently for a long period of time. That's it.
Man, spoken from the expert. Listen, Julian, I appreciate you spending some time on the Money Script podcast. Like I said, I've been waiting for this moment, and I am so glad that you came to drop these gems. This was deep, and it was from the heart too, man. We were bearing our soul to all of you guys. I mean, these are real entrepreneurs here. Julian and I, we're both real entrepreneurs. We have failed. We have been fired. We have tried business things that didn't work. We've tried things that did work, and we're still doing them, of course. But I think you heard that common thread between the two of us. Mindset is key. And we both spent a lot of time focused on mindset. When the two of us first met, one of the first things he asked me to say, what books are you reading about finance? I was like, I like this guy. You can have all my books about finance. And then I asked him the same. For those of you that know me well, I actually grew up a vegan and then, got lazy, I guess is the way I'll describe it over time. But I've been inching my way back. I actually just celebrated, by the time you guys hear this, that celebration, hopefully I've surpassed it, but I did go 1 full week without one piece of meat. I was pretty excited about that.
That's awesome, man, and that's fine. You can baby step your way into it.
Baby step my way. I do my no meat Mondays for sure. I do not eat meat on Mondays. And then it usually sneaks its way in somewhere throughout the week. But by just taking out Monday, I was like, hey, that's like 8% less meat for the entire year. That's better than I did the year before. So I just keep building upon that. And who knows, maybe one day I'll be a Jack vegan. The Jack part is a little bit harder. But we'll work on it.
Man. Just gotta get into the gym.
No, see, here I come with these excuses. Julian, if people want to get in touch with Jack Vegans, where can they find you?
JackVegans.com. That's just the easiest way.
That's the easiest way. Hey, yeah. I like it. I actually just today, by the time you hear this, it will be real. I just purchased moneyscript.com. I feel like an idiot because they originally offered it to me for $1,600 5 years ago. I did not pay $1,600 today. So if you're an entrepreneur and you have an idea of a name and you like it and that website's out there, you might want to go ahead and secure that. Go get that so you don't have to pay after you've already developed your brand. So with that, Julian, again, I appreciate you. And I hope to see you again on another season, another episode of the Money Script podcast.
I had a great time, man.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at the Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.